Welcome back to my channel. Uh, Weeks ago, I bought this attachment to angle grinders that will let you use a sanding belt, okay, for your projects. But the more you use it, it will get worn out. Now, so there will be a time that you need to replace this belt. Um, I'm gonna show you how to make your own. Okay? So yeah, so that we can continue using our sanding belt attachment to our angle grinder. Okay, let's start. So for this DIY project, you're going to need sanding cloth. Okay, it's like sandpaper, but the other side is cloth. No? So you can buy this in Shopee or Lazada also, no, per meter. Okay, and then you are going to cut strips of uh, sanding cloth that will serve as our sanding belt. No? So I'm gonna teach you how to put them together. Okay. Okay. So the size of your sanding belt should be 1.5 by 45 cm. No? So you're going to mark it and then cut it later. It's okay to use scissors or cutter if you have, no, but for me I will use cutter. Okay. Okay, so for the length, you're going to need 450. This is already 1.5 cm, as thick as the original belt. Okay, they have the same width now. And then for the length, you're going to need 445 cm length of sanding cloth. Okay, so you have to measure it first. So we need to put some allowance because we're going to make them overlap later. So the measurement that we need would be 48.3 cm. Okay, so from the sanding cloth, 48.3. Also, you have to mark the sanding cloth at a given angle, let's say 30 degrees, so that when you put them together later, it will be fit, no? For the same angle. So you just have to mark it properly. So I already made a previous one with the pattern. So so this will be the length of our sanding belt. Okay, and then notice that at the end part I needed to scrape off the grit of the sanding cloth, because when you make them overlap later, the thickness will be minimal. Okay, so you have to remove the grit, okay, of your sanding cloth. To remove the grit of the sanding cloth, I'm going to use a file and a hammer. So I'm gonna place it on top of a hammer and then start removing it. So slowly you will be able to see how the cloth is separated from the grit of your sanding cloth. So after you remove the grit of your sanding cloth, you will now be able to put them together like this. Okay, so the thickness here is minimal, no, because we removed already the grit. Okay, so we will just put some rugby here, contact cement. It should be a flexible bond, so that because it will be spinning around your grinder, so it has to be flexible. Okay, I'll be back later. After you file, you can file also the back side of the one that will overlap the other end of your sanding belt. No? I made two already. I fixed them already on this chair, on this bench, so that when I put rugby, they will not be moving because we will let it dry for maybe 30 to 1 hour, 30 minutes to 1 hour. Okay, so there, yeah. So you can see I cleaned out the part that will overlap so that it will be thinner when we put them together. Okay. Okay. So we will now put contact cement. You have to put this on both ends. And then let it dry for 30 minutes to 1 hour. So we will wait for 30 minutes or 1 hour, perhaps maybe 1 hour, and then after it dries up, we will stick them together. Okay? Ready? So we can already put them. Make sure that when you stick them together, it should be aligned, no? It should be straight. Okay? So after you stick them together, you can use a hammer. Make sure that the joint has been full contact. You can cut the extra. You can see some threads of the cloth under the sandpaper. So what you're going to do is to use a lighter and then heat up those strands so that you clean up the edges. Okay, I plugged it in already. We will now see if our sanding belt works. Let's find out. There you have it. The sanding belt works. Okay. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope you learned something new today in our DIY sanding belt. Okay. Till next time.